Hi, it's Colleen and welcome back to my channel. I know a lot of you came to my channel as a result of my very first video, which was a tutorial on making a bunting from a salvage quilt. So I wanted to bring you another quick craft tutorial that uses bits and pieces of fabric that may be too small for any other project. As you can see, this tissue case opens up and you can store one of these travel packs of tissues in there and pull out one at a time. And in the case of these three, I'm just using bits of embroidery and this old quilt, which featured in my last video. I've said this before, and I just want to reiterate that I do not cut up vintage fabrics or vintage embroidery or vintage quilts for crafts, unless they are already so damaged that they cannot be used in their original form. So this is from a quilt that had already been cut up before I bought it. I bought what was left of it, and I have been gradually using it for small projects like this. This was from a doily that had a big stain and a tear right in this section, so I'm saving this little corner piece to use in this craft. And then this is from a pillowcase that was beautifully embroidered, but it had been used to death, and the pillowcase itself was stained, but I was able to capture this small piece of embroidery to use for this project. If it was usable as a pillowcase, I would use it as a pillowcase and not cut it up. I feel really strongly about that, by the way. Please don't be that person that buys beautiful old things and cuts them up to make crafts. I've already made several of them to show you, and now I'd like to show you what it takes to actually put them together. I timed this from start to finish. Wait until you see how quick it is. But first, let me show you what you'll need. You're going to pick two fabrics that coordinate with each other. The outer fabric is the one you're going to obviously see on the outside. That's the embroidered part of this one. The inner fabric is this contrasting piece right here in the middle. So the purple, the blue, the pink, the black, that's the contrasting part. The outer fabric is 6 inches by 7 inches, and the contrasting inner fabric is 6 inches by 8 inches. Put them right sides together, and you're going to line up the short end, the 6-inch piece. We're going to take this over to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance on this side, and then we'll pull it to the other side and sew that the same way. And you can see that the pieces don't match up because one is bigger than the other, but that's important. That's how we get this contrasting line right here. So let's go to the sewing machine and stitch these up. When you're making a lot of something, you really want to be efficient, especially if you're planning to sell them, because time is money. So when you're doing a craft fair, you want to make the most amount of money for the least amount of effort. That's what makes this a great project, because it's quick and easy, but also you can see I'm prepping several of them at once. Then I come and complete the same step on all of them at once. I'll sew them all up, I'll turn them all at the same time, then I'll iron them all at the same time, and then I'll finish stitching them all at the same time. So that's going to save me quite a bit of time over the course of the project. I have stitched all 3 of my tissue cases, and now I'm going to show you what it looks like when you turn it. Because that inner fabric is longer than the outer fabric, when we turn it, you get that nice contrasting color. We're going to press them now to have them be nice and crisp before we do the next step. Now we're going to fold these edges in toward the middle and press it again. Now we'll go back to the sewing machine and sew a 1/2 inch away from these short ends. And when you get to the middle, you want to make sure that those 2 pieces are butted up well against each other so that you don't have a gap. You can see here that we're already starting to fray on these edges, and you can't leave them that way in the finished project because they will fray as people change out the tissue inside. So we've got to do something about that. And there are 3 ways you can solve that problem. The most simple thing to do is to pink that seam. So I'm just going to use my pinking shears and cut right along next to my stitching. That's why we have a 1/2 inch seam allowance. It's so we have room to do this. You can also zigzag next to your seam and then trim away the extra. And then you can just trim along that row of zigzag stitches, and that will keep it from fraying. The third way is to use a serger on those raw edges. So that's what I'm going to do on this last one. Make sure all of the thread tails have been trimmed. And then we'll turn it right side out. And there you have it, the finished piece. I am going to press this again because pressing your work makes a huge difference in the quality of the finish. So let's get them all turned and then we'll go press them. And now they're complete. All that's left to do is stuff them. The dimensions I gave you today are for the Kleenex brand travel tissue packs. You can see that fits really nice in there. You can buy other brands of tissue packs, but you may need to adjust the dimensions of the case in order to have a nice snug fit. I try to save money wherever I can. If I find tissue on sale, I will go ahead and buy several packages of it. So this 8-pack of tissue cost me 80 cents. And then my fabric was just little scraps of stuff I already had in my stash. So essentially, you know, for 80 cents, I've made 8 products that I can sell at a craft fair or give as gifts. I sold these at a craft fair for $4 a piece, and I sold as many as I could make. So that's a pretty good profit margin, especially when you consider each of these packets only takes 5 or so minutes to make. I just did a little experiment to see how long it would take to make one of these tissue cases from start to finish. So I made this one, and including cutting the fabric, sewing it, pressing it, and filling it, that's how much time it took. To make a profit on something, you need something that you can make a lot of in a short amount of time for as little cost as possible, and that is this project for sure. These make great teacher gifts. They are great favors for a wedding shower or a birthday party. They are fun to stick in your kid's backpack for the beginning of school, or when you're making up maybe packets of school supplies or Operation Christmas Child shoe boxes. These are great to include in there as well. So this is a real 5-minute craft, not like the ones that they have advertised on YouTube that don't always work. This one is sure to work every time. It's super easy. It's very forgiving. You don't have to be super precise, and it's a great way to clear out some small pieces of fabric in your stash. Thanks for joining me. If you like what you saw here today, don't forget to subscribe and make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. You can also follow me on Instagram to stay up to date with what's happening on this channel. Thanks a lot and have a great day.